Good day to you. It is our daily Devo for today. It's Jesus and the Good Samaritan, and it is Saturday. Woohoo! It is Saturday, what day is it? It's the 4th of November today. Was such a beautiful day yesterday, wasn't it? Hope we get a few more of those before the old man winter shows up. Today, again, Jesus and the Good Samaritan from Luke chapter 10, verses 25 through 37. Jesus' testy exchange with a Judean expert in the law birthed one of our most treasured stories, and I would venture to say one that even people who don't go to church know. A story that teaches both whom we are to help and how we are to help. This story is a wilderness travel story. It takes place on the road between Jerusalem and Jericho that navigates the dry, rugged, and forbidding landscape of the Judean wilderness. The road climbs and descends like a roller coaster. Throughout the trip, resources were all but absent, as were towns or villages where supplies could be refreshed. Thieves, apex predators, and terrain hazards haunted every turn, making this one of the most dangerous roads to travel in ancient Israel. And if you were injured along the way, help was far away. The story opens as we meet a Jewish man traveling this road who has been critically injured by robbers. Given his location, he has little hope of survival. Fortunately, two fellow Jews who are also religious leaders happened upon him. Stunningly, they passed by the man lying on the narrow path, ignoring his pain-filled pleas. The third man on the scene is the one we least expect to render aid. But this Samaritan set aside the social and the religious differences between himself and the injured man to offer assistance. In doing so, the Samaritan shows us that our neighbor is anyone we meet who needs our help. Allow me to repeat that. Our neighbor is anyone that we meet who needs our help. This story also highlights not just whom we help, but how we help them. The Samaritan man showed extravagant love for his neighbor. Think of all the ways he disadvantaged himself. The Samaritan stopped to render aid while thieves were still in the area. His delay threatened to push his travel into the evening hours when the wilderness became even riskier. He used the personal items he had packed for the trip to render aid, knowing they could not be replaced. He used his donkey to transport the injured man through the rolling terrain. And when he arrived at a place where further aid could be rendered, the Samaritan gave the innkeeper money to continue his care. At every turn, the Samaritan man's unselfish, extravagant love demonstrates how to love our neighbor in need. Jesus combines place with story to teach a powerful lesson in neighborliness, a story that ends with this powerful call to action: go and do likewise. Go and do likewise. Luke 10:37. It is a great story, and it's a story intended to teach a pretty clear lesson. The religious guys, I don't know what their story was, probably afraid for themselves, didn't want to be bothered, didn't want to make themselves unclean by touching this man who was bleeding and beaten and all those kinds of things. I don't know what their reasons were. Jesus is the one telling the story. But the question to remember is, who is my neighbor? After they've had a discussion about loving your neighbor as yourself, This guy must have had a legal mind because, well, let's see, let's define that. Who is my neighbor? Anybody that you come across that's in need, not just the people who live next door to you, not just the people like you, but the hurting people that you find around you, that the Lord leads you to. That's who you love. That's who you help. Go and do likewise. Even if it's costly, even if it's inconvenient, you do it. You do it. That is the moral of the story. And that's how Jesus was. And that's how he calls us to be. Tomorrow is a day of prayer for the persecuted church. And we will be given the opportunity to help our neighbors, people that we are aware of who are in need, badly in need, and not just of being prayed for, but of being encouraged through our giving. Blessings to you today, and may your tomorrow have this thought in your mind of who's my neighbor. Well, it's anybody we know that's in need, but especially our brothers and sisters. Blessings.